Yeah, it's a good coincidence that we kind of find each other here. Mark, we have to get a shout out to Mark who connected us.
Absolutely.
And it's a coincidence that you're in the Netherlands in this. Well, you're here for 42. No, you were into Europe for 42 days. So it's nice that we could go to your hotel. So we're not in the coach's room, but we're in the hotel.
Hotel room of
hotel
coaches.
room, yeah, the hotel room. This is kind of your second office, you told me.
Yep.
Okay, well, great to have you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Great to be here.
Good. And my first question always is: so this is the hotel room. We see a whiteboard here, but we use TV. But yeah, what is your essential item in your personal coach's room?
Yeah, I mean, there is so many things we can talk about right now, but I believe that if you are as a coach, you are prepared, always prepared for the worst case scenario. That's one thing. That would say my biggest tool.
Okay.
So I am.
Your preparation is your biggest tool.
Yes,
that's what you're
absolutely.
saying.
So there is a lot of critics in football all the time, everywhere. But I think one of my tools is that I'm my own worst critic.
Okay.
So I will always be harder to myself than anybody else can, just so I can imagine what my worst case scenario can potentially be, and I can prepare for it best as possible.
Yeah. So it's not a tactics board. It's not a computer. It's your mindset. That's the most essential in in your daily work as a coach. Well, maybe probably in life.
Yep. Absolutely. I think with the right mindset, you can achieve anything you put your mind to, basically. So
yeah. What does it come from?
I believe that perception of your experiences shape your values, but also shapes your mindset, the way you behave, what you do, how you do things. I think having since the beginning, rough childhood, growing up through a war-torn country, and then all the playing football experiences that I went through, and then later coaching, it's all sort of let's say a test of your endurance. Each step is a test of your endurance, mental endurance, before anything else. And then, but if you draw from every negatives, you can draw positives, and vice versa. So if you every step of the way you draw something that you can build on and make yourself more resilient, more focused, more adaptable.
Yeah.
I think that's a way to develop yourself.
I feel we're almost have an opposite story.
Yeah.
So you have this, like you said, a war-torn country.
Yep.
I read you had. It's not even an injury. It's literally a heart attack when you were 16.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have this, let's say, pink flowers youth in a nice neighborhood with no problems at all. But it shapes you straight away in this conversation as well, which you take to the pitch. I can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, no judgment anywhere. I mean, what happened to me, I hope it doesn't happen to many people. And for me, it's background carries a lot of things, but at the end of the day is what you do in this moment, and how open you are, how acceptable you are, is what defines you today.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing.
Great, man. And normally coaches talk, I need a laptop or whatever.
Yeah.
You switch it up to a different. No, it's not an item, but it's something that you carry along every day, every minute.
Yeah, and I actually met David, who we're gonna speak to a few days ago, and we talk about this because David and I, when we used to stay together, we wake up always 4 or 5 a.m.
I talked to him. David is not. You're also not a normal guy. You wake up at 4 also.
Yes, but this is like I said, a mindset, right? So if you have this mindset, and people ask why, and I think David will share his point of view on that. But if you get 3, 4, 5 hours ahead of everybody else, then you have much more time to prepare and to prepare better as well.
Just to give the listeners an impression, I talked to David last week just in a regular meeting. He told me I get up in the morning at 4, 3 times a week. So I have time. So I have a head start on, let's say, everybody. And that's my mindset. I want to learn, but you do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, David is where he is for a reason. And I think he's a fantastic coach who will just keep progressing.
Yeah. How does this mindset or this, let's say this way of approaching your life connects to football? Because I don't know, you're in a hotel, you're not going to bang on the doors at 4 a.m, guys, we have to wake up. But there is probably some way that it connects with your daily routine, and that how you work with players or how you work in a club.
No, absolutely. I mean, I set very high standards to myself first, and then I believe in leading by example.
Yeah.
Because I can't ask from the players to do something that I'm not doing, or from my colleagues or from my coaches. So I think first and foremost is punctuality in football. This is something that is out of question. This is for me even precondition when it comes to coaching. That's number one thing. And obviously for a coach you have to be first to show, last to leave.
Yeah.
So that's always the case. But then if you go into details, it's planning of the session. What are we doing today? What principles are we trying to preach? What objectives, tasks do we have? How are we going to translate that to the players? I think there is a thinking process through not only planning one session, but also how this session fits into long-term plan, how it fits to the previous game that we played, to the next game we're going to play. And this is not something you can sit down and write in 15 minutes. I mean, you can, but then...
I understand, yeah. No, but it starts with, let's say, an unbreakable rule set. Is that kind of what I'm hearing? So,
absolutely.
Okay, guys, we make an agreement. So, for example, we always show up on time. We are always prepared, maybe in materials, but also in mindset. Is these the things where you start with?
Absolutely.
So you just became a technical director of a club in Singapore.
Yep.
And is that then something you sit down with maybe the board and with your coaching staff? Okay, this is what I believe.
Yep.
You look at their culture and how can we create this strong mindset or this set of rules into the club? Is that how it starts?
Absolutely. Because you mentioned one word that I like very much, culture, what the football culture is. And I think this is, when you talk about the youth development, a big part of it. Because now when I came to Singapore and went from Feyenoord to Singapore for this role, and everybody's saying this is now a professional academy because Luka is there. But that just makes me laugh because I'm not the culture.
Yeah.
There is people who have to create this culture, and it goes from definitely first the management, then the coaches, then the players, but also parents and everybody involved. You have guys who are working logistics, cleaning the pitches, opening the doors, and these are also guys that are equally important because if one screw is not tight enough, then it's very easy to break something. So I think the first step is definitely set of rules that everybody adhere to. Because in a top sport environment, if you don't follow the rules, then somebody has a problem. Yeah.
Can you name one example that is maybe time, or what is the most important one that you brought in your new situation?
Yeah, I think definitely the effort to come early and to stay late. Yeah. Because if you come to training 5 minutes before, I mean, I believe in the mental aspect of football a lot, but you basically just finish your school as a young player. Maybe you speak to your parents, you had lunch with your friends, you spoke to your girlfriend, and then now I'm on the field. But it doesn't work that way. And you can see that everywhere, that the players come to training either switched on or switched off. And that's a big part plays what happens before that. So I think coming to training at least 45 minutes before and removing your phones and all that, because I'm not really a big fan of, let's say, restricting players. Yeah. But everybody have to know where is the time to play and time to work. Even though when I say work, I mean obviously be fully committed to what you're doing. So I think that's a big difference, that they have 45 minutes together, talk about football, talk about what was last training, ask questions to the coaches that are already there. Do their pre-warm up. Even though you are 14, 15, 16 years old, I mean, this should be your responsibility. So, and then after the training, when you're done, because now we have their performance part. I also have with me Mark Underwater. He was head of performance for Feyenoord. So you have a pre-warm-up, you have post-match, you have pre-match warm-up activation, pre-training. Then you have a post-training also, what you have to do, maybe some individual assignments. So all these things, I'm not going to look at it for 120 players. It's your responsibility as a player to focus on that part.
So, but you create that culture or you create that almost the terms to do that in the club, or maybe with the team, you could also do it the same. Yep. By making sure that people are not arrive 5 minutes, put on the boots and are on pace. No, there's a time, 30 minutes, maybe even 45, in which you can already start preparing mentally, you can do physically, but you can talk to each other.
Exactly.
It's interesting because we had a coach from Leverkusen in the previous podcast. He was working with U11s, and he also noticed that kids, especially kids that in that age, they soak up all the information they get. They came rushing out of school, put on the boots and they were on the pitch. So they were half on the pitch, half at schoolwork. He did pretty much the same. So half an hour before training, just be in the dressing room together. Just 11-year-old, 12-year-old boys doing whatever they want or whatever, making TikToks, which probably is something they do, but it doesn't matter. They were together. Yep. They were experiencing each other. They were connecting, and then it was almost a natural flow going towards the pitch. There's not too much pre-training for that age yet. So, but there was more the process of attention, and I hear the same story here.
Yeah, I can give you one of the example actually that just happened a few days ago as well, because we are here with the team, and players finally have chance after so long to play unrestricted games and unrestricted training, which is fantastic. But then before and after training, we try to arrange some activities for them, to keep it interesting. To maybe we have some match analysis, maybe we have some individual analysis, maybe we have some. Yeah, today we are going to foot golf, for example, right? But then you see that the players start having too much fun, and then somebody is 2 minutes late for lunch, or 2 minutes late for analysis, and then the simple rule is, maybe yesterday we talked about it, and maybe the perception is, well, it's just 2 minutes, it's just a small thing. Yeah, but this is where it starts, on the small things, and if you don't make it into a big thing, then there'll be more and more small things that will pile up, and then you have big problems. So even though you're 10 seconds late, you still go back to your room and you're not a part of this this event. And then that's an example for everybody else as well. Yeah.
And then we are talking about 14-year-old players.
Yeah, at the moment 14.
So it's kind of, I think I can imagine, you don't want to be a dictator and all the top, but you want to learn. This is the way how it should be.
Absolutely.
I think. So it's not being mad, but it's okay. This is the way it works.
Exactly. There is no hard feelings. It's your responsibility. And then if you come 2 minutes late, that shows me, well, you don't really care about the time. Yeah. Well, then it is your decision not to attend. Yeah. So it's not dictatorship.
No, but there's a way of learning people to train or learning to perform instead of demanding some sort of performance chips. And if you create an environment that demands from you that you're there, but it still also gives you the opportunity to experience what it is, and then you are late, then you learn what it is instead of getting thrown out or whatever. That needs to be safe, and I hear that it's safe, but it also has consequences.
Absolutely. And I think us as coaches is not, coaching is a big part of our job, but also pedagogy and teaching players maybe basic rules about life or basic rules about behavior off the field is really important, because if a guy today remembers at 14, I should never be late when I have an appointment, then this will translate to other areas of his life. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Yeah. And then you are this, I can imagine that it's challenging sometimes, because maybe you were already mature at 17 and you already had this, and then you come into a new culture and you're coming with this monster mindset and all your football knowledge. This is how we're going to do it. But if you rush in and you put everything on the table straight away, you are 10 miles ahead from them. So what was your biggest challenge, or what so far that you have to, that you take them step by step in this process? You are smiling, so it's probably recognizable for you.
Yeah, very much patience, definitely. And I'm not really a patient person, to be honest. I'm trying, but it has its challenges for sure. Like you said, and this is what I analyze as well. You can't rush things, and you can't force people to become what they are not. No. So we had to make some hard choices in terms of, removing some of the coaches, removing full generations of players because of just the what they are used to, and they didn't want to adapt. So there were some hard decisions that needed to be made, but at the same time, there were some players who wholeheartedly accepted the new regulations. And then, of course, there was a lot of mistakes along the way, but I think slowly we are getting where we need to be. Yeah.
So, and then I'm going to push it a little bit towards you. So then your patience is one thing. So every time, I want to go 100 miles an hour, and sometimes I need to realize that sometimes we can go only 50 or whatever. What's the main learning experience for you there?
Yeah, this is a lesson I'm still learning, to be honest. That although you want it so badly, you cannot force things.
No.
You have to. The time has to be right for a thing to happen, and this is controlling that feelings at that moment, emotional aspect. That's a big lesson for me, for sure.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. I have the same thing, but then with my 2 kids. I want things all the time, and they just like, no, Dad, we're not going to do this. But there are 2, and they just shout. But whatever. Yeah. Okay. Let's go more to your philosophy and development of players, because creating a performance environment is important for you. It's, I think, the terms of the environment and the terms of setting the performance environment on the pitch. So, and once you're on the pitch, this is the easiest question ever, but it's not answer for an hour. But what characterizes your philosophy there?
Yeah, I'll give you a lot of quotes during this podcast.
Okay.
But this one is by Jerry Rice. I love NFL. I don't know if you.
I love to watch it.
I love to watch NFL. So this guy was a very big player of 69ers a while ago, and he said, "All men are born equal. Some work harder in the preseason."
Okay.
So you can take this literally, and you say, "I just need to have a good preseason," but that's not what it's about. It's again, going back to the mindset. I feel if my philosophy is that number one thing is you really need to have desire to do it. And I'm sorry, I'm going to talk a little bit about younger generations now. I know that's not what you asked me. But I think I need to little bit step away from this question so I can come back to it. Yes. Sure. So I believe, and probably the older generations, like our parents would say, you guys are soft generations, And then now we can say something similar to the younger guys. And maybe Mark told you I'm a very pragmatic and direct person.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you how I feel it is.
Sure.
I also recently heard a speech of one high school basketball coach, and he said this. He said, "Tough times create tough men. Tough men create weak times. Weak times create soft men, and soft men create tough times.
Yeah.
We need to breed warriors." So that was, and he said he took it for somewhere, but this resonated with me so much because it's this cancel culture, let's call it that way, this which youth generations are developing. It's really making their mindset so soft, able to have excuses about everything, to point fingers at everybody else but themselves. This is for me, and it's not Singapore, don't get me wrong. I work with a lot of different players and in a few different countries. For example, in individual analysis, you can do that online. So it's not just this happening in Asia. No, I think youth everywhere and the coaches everywhere will have problem like this. You say something to a player, he goes in to complain to somebody else. Parents are always obviously on their children's side. So it's a little bit. For me, this is the biggest problem first.
Yeah.
Because when you see a good player, when you find a good player, how would you refer to them? How do you call this player? They said he's a diamond in the rough. He's a gem. He's a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
But what is the process? Then I said, what is the process of making a diamond? So first, you need to put a diamond under tremendous amount of pressure. That's number one. A pressure that you are able to shape it from, right? Then when you are able to handle that some sort of pressure, then you bring an unbearable heat to it. So if you can handle the pressure and the heat and you think, okay, this was enough, no, then you get cut. So all of these gems, right, they want to play, they want to be happy while they play football, but not many of them can handle the pressure or are willing to get hot or to handle the heat. Not many of them at all. So I think to go back to the philosophy, number one, if you don't have this mindset as a player, doesn't matter what my philosophy is, because then it's not going to happen for you.
Yeah.
So first is to establish that the players have this mindset to understand what are the challenges in their career, what are the challenges in the youth development, what are the challenges that they have to deal with personally and professionally, off the field and on the field, and to see if they're able to handle these kind of things.
It comes from almost current society. It is current society. Life is easy. You press a button and something, whatever you want, is there.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with being in shape or whatever, you cannot press a button and be a good player.
Yep.
And this is what society currently is.
Yep.
So you're part of, let's say the bottom line of your philosophy is create the resistance, because people are not used to resistance.
Absolutely.
And there's, of course, practical ways, but I completely agree. And I notice it by myself. So life is so, okay, there are challenges and I work. I've been behind in my office till 11 last night, which you can see as resistance. But still, life is relatively easy. There's a roof, there's food, whatever, and kids grow up and they press a button and there's a YouTube film and they see everything. So it's interesting to see that you have this as your basics of your philosophy. Yep. It comes from you as a person, 100% sure of that, but it characterizes you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think if you want me to define more philosophy and youth development, I'm sure you have a great podcast. You talk to a lot of people, so there is a lot of different opinions.
Yeah. No, but let's go. I'm thinking about this. Why you're talking?
Yeah.
Is there a way that this let's say this basics is also a term in like creating an environment that where there's resistance? So, is there an example of how you show that in the pitch, or is it show that in coaching? Is it okay, we achieved something and now we're going to make it more difficult until you fail? For example, is that the kind of things you are looking for on the pitch?
Absolutely. And if I'm doing a training and everything is going perfectly, then first thing I ask myself, what is wrong?
Yeah.
Because if you are doing training and then everything is great, everything is fantastic, I think you're not doing your job as a coach. You're not challenging your players enough. So I think we all know that block versus random theory, for example. I think that the football is chaos, the chaos theory as well. So for me, it's definitely creating as difficult conditions as possible throughout each session, because I will create a training session, I will review it, but then if the session is happening and I see some things, I will change it. So, for example, I like to do this drill 5v5 plus 5 with the 4 small goals.
Yeah.
So where the other 5 players are, other 4 players and 4 corners and 1 neutral players in the middle.
Yeah.
So if you make a space, let's say 25 by 25, things are going very smoothly.
Yeah.
Because you have 5 neutral players, all right?
All the space and time.
Yes, but if you make it between 15 and 20 meters, then you see a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So I can make the big space and make it look nice, and everybody who walk past and see the training say, wow, these guys are such good players. Or I can make it more difficult for them and make them struggle and question themselves and try harder. And, then therefore make them a little bit better players. Yeah. So that's one of the small examples I can give.
Is there, where do you find the balance in between success and failing? Is it a feeling when you see players are pushing themselves until they get desperate and then you take it back a little bit? Is there a feeling, or is there some sort of rule that you have for yourself, or where is the balance?
Yeah, the rule for me is, and I heard it from one very smart man, and he told me, what is the difference between people who made it where they want to be and those who didn't? Is just not giving up. Okay. That's all there is. So for me, if I see the players, let's say, in sort of impossible condition, still trying to make the best out of it, that's what you want to see. That's what I want to see.
And what if a player is struggling so what? What's your action then?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to youth, the most feedback that comes from your mouth should be a positive encouragement. Yeah. So, but then at the end of the day, sometimes you need to put a hand against the table and tell them how it is. Yeah. Because if we are able to record all of your sessions and then sit down with you and create personal development plans and do the individual analysis and talk to you before and after the training, and you still can't understand or don't care that much or to do the basic things they want from you, or even if things are not going your way, if you don't want just to compensate it by running or putting the effort off the ball, then I cannot. If you don't want to be helped, I cannot help you then.
I understand, yeah. So there is a point, I'm trying to visualize a little bit. You're doing a drill, this kid is, or a player or whatever, immature or not, doesn't matter. He's finding himself on the moment of, okay, I cannot do this. And this is the point where you go up to and maybe let him sort it out himself. Yep. If maybe he doesn't find the confidence or whatever reason it doesn't succeed, you're gonna step to him. Okay, guy, this is how it works. Trying to find it, and I will help you.
Absolutely.
But after 10 times, sorry.
Yes, absolutely.
That's because I think it's a good nuance, because I don't think you are the coach that says after the first time you have to do it yourself.
No, absolutely not.
You can step down, reach to his level, and say, okay, this is what the solution is. Let me help you.
Yes.
But at one point, he needs to learn it.
Yes. And
or she, but whatever.
I think what you mentioned, I would characterize as emotional intelligence, and this is the more I learn about coaching, the more I interact with the people that are at the highest level in their coaching career. I think emotional intelligence and the way you approach the players, be it youth or the first team, that's the most important thing now. Because I'll give you an example for this as well. When I was finishing my pro license, we were supposed to go to FI headquarters, but we couldn't because of COVID.
Yeah.
And then we had the online course with Gareth Southgate, Roberto Martinez, and David Moyes.
Yep.
And then when the course was done, I asked myself, what is one thing that is similar to all these three guys that work at the, let's say, highest possible level?
Yeah.
Right? So my humble conclusion is they are also well outspoken. Any questions that were asked for by participants were answered in such a patient and a polite way. And also, so that made me realize is even when they speak to coaches who are maybe in their eyes beginners, or maybe in their eyes just, coaches from smaller countries, something like that, they still try their best to explain and to make you feel comfortable, to make you feel heard, which I think that...
Because they could easily, from their position of authority, break your question or say this, feel you less, but they didn't do it.
No, not at all. They were so open-minded and so accommodating. And then made me think, if these guys can have so much patience and understanding for... I mean, they took the time of their life to spend 2 hours.
These guys have crazy schedules.
Impossible, right? And then I think, who am I not to do the same with my players?
Yeah.
So
I think it's important that you share this, because if you could have listened to the first 30 minutes, or I don't know how long we're heading, but you could say, this guy is almost out of stone. But this is an interesting nuance, because this is also youth football, or especially educating players.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe they're developing every day. Not you talk about players, but as coaches, you learn something new every day. Yeah. And if you're open enough, and then you evolve, right? Yeah. So I do get a lot of that. This is the impression I kind of give out, but I think only when you are. That's why we're here today. One of the reasons, but also is when you are, let's say, in my team, when you play under, then you know what's the real.
Yeah, no, I completely realize it. Otherwise, you cannot succeed as a coach. You're the only one shouting in the room, and you lose your players within 3 months.
100%.
Yeah, of course. Okay, interesting. So let's go a little bit towards you, because did you have a pro? Yeah. 33. Well, I went through your Instagram.
No, now I'm 34, but
33. You had, yeah. And that was like, I don't know if it's a necessity, but it's a logical step in your development.
Yes.
But it's not your day-to-day development, I can imagine. But it had major impact maybe on your last development in the last 2 years.
Yeah, you're talking about the pro lesson.
Yeah.
I mean, I started coaching very young, so maybe that's one advantage that I have to a lot of my colleagues. So I have a lot of various experience, working from youth amateur to serious youth football to senior amateurs to professional seniors. So it's, you name it, in Asia, in Europe, in US, in Australia. Yeah. So all these experiences, let's say, gave me some desire to become as best as I can be, in a sense where, okay, first step, where do I want to go, where do I want to end up, and the second step is how do I get there. So, and then I have to understand what are the tools first that I need, what are the necessary licenses in this case. So, and then was how do I get to the pro license, and I made myself like a small plan. Right, in 4 a.m, of course.
Those are the times where everybody sleeps. Yeah. But there's one thing. You don't have kids, huh?
No. Yeah, but I have a cat.
Which doesn't shout at you in the morning.
Yeah. Well, no, but she does wake up with me. So anyway. No kids yet, and yeah.
No, I'm joking.
I don't know.
I'm always using the kids as an excuse,
Yes,
but
yes.
I'm just being a pussy sometimes. I have to know that.
No, that's completely fine. I'll tell you what was my situation. So when I was doing pro license, so I lived and worked in Netherlands,
Yep.
as you know. My wife lived and worked in Singapore.
Yep.
I was at the same time doing my PhD in Serbia, and I was doing my pro license in Malta.
Okay.
So this was my
Your life,
my daily life. Yes.
Yeah.
So four different countries for
almost
for
two continents. Yeah,
Yes.
a lot of time difference.
Yes. So it's not easy. Let's put it that way. Even if you do it in your own country, if you just have to focus on pro license and nothing else, this is
Already a lot of time.
yes. It takes so much out of you. And we talked about this before we started the podcast. Yeah. Football is a philosophy of giving up. You had some hard choices to make, as you said. I think every coach was sometimes in a position, like you said, do I get divorced or do I continue?
Not just for everybody.
Yeah.
We were talking about my choice that I decided to stay with my wife and leave coaching. That was mainly the reason, because besides a job and 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week every week, it has an effect on your personal life. Yeah.
And I have to take this chance to also mention my wife as well, because
You have to.
this is all about wives right now. But okay. When I told her about this opportunity that happens with Feyenoord and I can go, she was the first one to tell me, well, you have to go, because if you don't, you're always going to ask yourself what could have happened. So have to thank her for that as well.
Great, man.
Yeah.
Great, man. Okay. So we were talking about your development. Of course, family life is part of the support in that part. I think we can conclude that. So developing yourself a pro license, I think you almost see it as a tool.
Yep.
To move forward. It's somewhere a necessity that you need to have for going to higher levels.
Yes.
It's just as simple as that. But it also brought you, I think, a lot of knowledge, inspiration.
Absolutely.
What was the main thing that it brought you?
I think, first of all, I think the group of people that I work with.
Yeah, cool.
First the main instructor, Steven Grima, he was somebody I learned from a lot, not only about football, but also about the way of observing life and facing challenges. There were obviously local coaches, were very, very nice guys, but there was also a coach from Man City, for example, who was with me on the course, and also one Italian coach called Andrea Pisano. We'll talk about him later a little bit. The main thing I think that Pro License taught me is that just because somebody has a different philosophy, a different way of observing football, doesn't mean that it's wrong or it's not going to work as effective as yours is.
Yep.
Because you can be convinced, I'm good at what I do. I know this is better than what he thinks, and so on. This is one thing I don't like about the education, to be honest. But then you realize when you get a lot of different practical examples from completely different school education. So from Italian, from British, myself, I learned most what I know in Serbia, but then my whole mindset changed when I came to Netherlands. So I think that's the number one thing, is just that you can always learn something else. You can don't judge too quickly based on when you hear people, what they say, how they try to explain things. Focus on the end result. That's
and what is open mindset? Is there an example of that maybe an Italian or an English coach or whatever in that time period share with you? Okay, I never thought about that, and that gave me a new insight how I practice my work.
Let's say about this Italian coach. He's a big believer in Bielsa, for example. Yeah. And maybe Netherlands Bielsa is not much appreciated because you can see a lot of isolated work and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm really also not really a big fan of that.
It's very explicit.
Yes.
Everything is thought of, every detail, every centimeter that you run is almost thought of.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do believe when you work with the first team players, you need to have a certain amount of automatization in your game. But this is, let's say, the extreme, like you mentioned. So we had the same topic, which was, I think it was build up.
Yeah.
And then for me it was very clear. We had 30 minutes to prepare our groups, and to me, I try to create an overload with the back line, create some base situation where you can break the press, right? 2v1, I use the keeper and so on. And then I found my way to let's say to the middle third to be able to score a small goal, and that's it. What he did was he was just play ball to keeper. Moment the ball goes to the keeper, that's a trigger for everyone to push up, play a long ball, score a goal. That was it. So, but there was no instructions from the course. It was just do the build up, see what happens. We'll see who is more successful.
As soon as they played the keeper, the opponent moved forward a little, so there was more space towards the small goals, maybe for a second ball or even creating space there.
Correct.
Okay.
And then then we'll decide after. So the other participants will tell you which one was more successful. Yeah. And I was like, lekker bouw,
So you're doing your Dutch thing and your creativeness and creating space and leaving it with the players, whatever.
Exactly. And I 1 out of 3 times, 1 out of 5 times, I make something. That's so nice. This guy was like 90% efficiency. He managed to get what went almost every time.
Yeah, it was playing against an underload as well.
Yes.
So he was very pragmatic.
Exactly. So then, in the end of the day, that was the whole purpose of this objective of this exercise, was to show, there is not one correct way, and maybe you can say, what Luka was trying to do was a little bit more, technical, more nice looking, and all that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, what Andrea did was much more effective and was something that will win you game tomorrow. So that's just an example. Maybe you can say I observed it as a youth coach and he observed it as a senior coach, which is what he is.
And you all probably observed it as well from the environment that you work, because this is Dutch.
Yeah.
We care just as much about winning as it has to look good.
Yep.
We are not satisfied if we win in an ugly way.
Yes.
Which is bullshit. But it is how we think, and it's how we are raised, because we supposedly invented football, which is also a little bit of bullshit. But that's the way in the Netherlands we approach football. When I went to the seniors, I kind of got rid of that idea, because I noticed that my feeling is towards winning.
Yes.
But players that I worked with, they wanted to have 1-2 touches and play position game, and I just wanted to destroy the opponent.
Yep.
It's so Dutch.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, but for me, it's what you say is not, and especially when you work with youth. Yeah, it's we can win a game 27-0, like so. But I only had critical observation about that game, nothing else. Because yes, we scored amount of goals, but who do we play against? What do we do in a defensive transition? What do we do in you have this word, rustverdediging. I translated it as residual defending. Okay. So this is
defensive balance, somebody called it.
Can call it as well. So it's all a matter of perspective, and I still strongly believe, I have to say, in a Dutch way, this is what I try to implement.
If it works,
yes,
it is the nicest way.
Yes.
It is the best way to look at.
Absolutely. But then, when you talk about the build-up, that's a big part of the Dutch play, right? So I like this to compete against the other opposition press and to adapt to the way they are pressing.
Yeah.
Are the players smart enough? Can they find a solution to break that line? Because any other day you have the ball, you control the game. You all know the basics. So if I have the opportunity to keep the ball, I will do it as many times as possible. But at the same time, then what I teach the players as well, you keep the ball until it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if they press with 5, then you know where the space is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking while you're saying that we're almost trying to be sophisticated.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do it the neat way. We're gonna humiliate you the neat way instead of brute force and just Mourinho style, kick the ball over the press and then win the second ball.
Yes.
And that's a different way of approaching.
Yeah.
But so that's interesting. So you learned from your Italian colleague that sometimes just look at the situation. What's the most pragmatic way to solve this?
Yeah.
And is it now something that you, when you're in your daily routine, you think of that? Okay, maybe I should change this a little bit, or maybe just look a little bit more simple to it, or or it didn't really change that philosophy on the way you would like to play?
No, I mean, we talk about the way I would like to play. I think it all depends on the player profiles that you have.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing. So the players that I'm working right now, and the whole, let's say, national profiles of Southeast Asian players, I think give you a good balance to try to do something like this, because you won't have the tallest players in the world or the physically superior, but you're going to have players that can be technically very well educated, very quick, very agile.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can build something like this. It doesn't make sense for us to play a long ball, and it would be very difficult.
But it does make some sort of sense in that cup, because I've been to Japan, and in even on lower levels, players are so explosive and so fast, which is also a quality to have for a second ball. So you could choose and then give crazy amounts of pressure on that second ball, because they're so fast, agile, etc. What you said. Well, okay, we're going into details now. Thinking along with you already.
There is no right and wrong, but it's about perspective as well.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Okay, so that's a late thing that influenced you from your pro license. Yeah. Your latest tool. Yeah. Is there another way that you, maybe in a daily way, or that you have mentors, or that you how did you try to keep yourself with your mindset? I can imagine if it's from 4 to 7 you have a lot of time to read, but what is your approach there?
There is no happy story here. I'm sorry to disappoint you.
I'm not going to ask for a happy story.
There is a lot of alone time, a lot of isolation, and let's say realization that I have to do things by myself. That's what you're going to get from me. I wish I had somebody who was my mentor and who led me through the way and all this. Actually, I do. I can name one. I don't know if you ever heard the name Eric Thomas.
No. So
I think every coach should really dedicate themselves to study this guy.
Okay, I'm gonna write him down.
He's a motivational speaker.
Okay.
But I like to say he's a father I never had.
Okay.
So I guess following some steps that I thought are the steps that I need to take. So.
But is it like, if I make it, let's say, practical, is it that I was joking about it 4 a.m, but you actually do this? So you take that time, that extra time that you create for yourself outside of the daily routines to sit down. You dive into his philosophies. You sit, you read, you listen. Is that the way that you trying to get the knowledge? And maybe some other day you take videos of games or whatever. Is that the way that you approach it? Literally?
No, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
So I feel like I need this extra time to do the things that I can during the regular time. Yeah. So is it rewatching the videos? Is it reanalyzing the games? Is it can't have discussions with colleagues at the time, but
no,
is it taking out some I like to read studies, not books that much. I have a couple of books I can
you take the fundamental studies?
Yes. Okay. Because although I've been through, let's say, a good amount of education, I have a big problem with the theory versus practice.
Okay.
So I like to see practical examples of what is being talked about. So that's why the studies with the practical execution is something that interests me more.
Okay.
And most of them related to a tactical periodization, and hybrids of it. This is what I like to read about the most.
Okay, so you take it and you study. Okay, how was it? How is maybe is this structurized? What's the idea behind it?
Yes.
And then you make it your own.
Yes, something like that. And obviously, I mean, look, every day I watch a game, or in the morning, for example, because in Asia the time difference is huge.
Yeah.
So I record the game, then I watch them in the morning sometimes, and then you can see the basic principles. Yeah, in this intro, we heard Guardiola saying a few things. I mean. You can get an idea from anything from Man City. I saw, obviously, we have inverted fullbacks. This was, let's say, a new thing this year. But also, how do Ingram move in relation to a striker? When the striker drop, what does 10 and 7-11 do? And what does a fullback do? And all these things I think, how can I implement, let's say, this small part into my game? Because I feel it would help create either numeric overload or more space or something like that. And you write all these small bits and pieces down. And then I would say at the end of every month, I have like a summary list of the things that I wrote down that I feel can be implemented, and then I adapt it to the technical plan. And then every 3 to 6 months, I review my own technical plan.
Okay.
And then see how can I share it with the rest of the staff, rest of the players, and so on.
So you use, let's say, a month to get all your ideas together, to inspire yourself, to get new things.
Yes.
Summarize it rough. I don't know if it's literally monthly. Is it a date, a set date?
I have I have this app reminder. So I have this thing, for example, repeat every 27th of the month.
Okay.
So then I would do.
So the 27th of the month, you sit down, you take all your notes.
Yes.
You take, okay, this maybe was a good idea. This was a bad idea.
Yes.
I take it. How do I'm going to use it in the next month? And then every 3 months and every 6 months, you evaluate that in a larger scale.
Yes, correct. And then I reevaluate also then the principles of play. Is it team? Is it individual? Is it group? And then see if this principle can fit into what we already have. Then we maybe try it 1 or 2 times in the training. See if it works. If it doesn't, then okay. Talk to the players what they think. Talk to the colleagues what they think. Then we record and we review what will happen if they have played this formation. What will happen if they play this other formation? What will play in this situation? That's it. So it's a process. Continuous.
What's the last main thing? Today is the 18th, 19th. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we're 10 days ahead towards your evaluation. What was the main thing you maybe wrote down from your last one that you implement? Okay, this was actually something that changed my perspective in this last month, and I'm now going to really implement.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the one thing that was,
or maybe in the past months. I don't know.
No worries. I think the last one was actually I saw online this youth training of Ajax, which is pretty old, couple years old. But when I saw the movement of the striker, and the striker that I have now in the team is physically much superior to everybody else. So was this guy in Ajax. But I saw how he moves when he doesn't have the ball. So usually I like to say, we play with fake 9. With this guy also, he's big, he can do. Yeah. But you come to the middle, okay, I don't get the ball. What do I do then? So then he's sort of moving to the side, or maybe drops even deeper, something like that. But this guy from Ajax, he dropped, he didn't get a ball. He tried to run into blind side of the same guy. If he follows him, try to find to the blind side of him.
Okay.
So then this guy is sort of backpedaling, right? Then he pretends he's going to do a full sprint. The guy drops to me. He comes back again for the ball. Okay. So this continuous movement of this striker is just up and down, up and down. Then he never let the center back sort of catch him in his eyesight. Yes.
So he used the eyesight, the looking behavior of the opponent.
Yes.
And his own spatial awareness.
Yes.
To catch him in the blind side 2 times in a row.
In literally 10 seconds. So this was something that, and then in the end, he made himself free and he was able to receive the ball and face the goal inside, 25 meters of the just because what he did off the ball. So for me, that was, okay, I need to speak to my striker, because if he's able to master this movement, then and already the game, I review on 27, like you said. But if I feel that this is critical,
you do it straight away.
I do it straight away.
Yeah, of course.
And we work on it literally for 2 training sessions. And already on Tuesday, this guy was able, he scored 1 goal, but he had like 7 opportunities, out of which I think 4 was created because of his movement. Yeah. And you can say, these are young guys, so they are learning all this, but it's such a small thing, makes such a big impact.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it almost feels that it's not so hard.
Yeah.
Because you know to move, and then even young players, 13, 14, if he cannot catch you with his eyes, you're at the right spot.
Yes.
That's already the advice that you can give him. Exactly. And then he is always looking for that angle.
Yes.
And the guy's turning, I'm already doing it. But yeah, interesting. Great.
Yes.
Great example.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. What part haven't we touched on yet? Because you have a lot of notes.
Yeah, I mean, we touched a lot of things, but
we're not done yet.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we talk about mindset a lot. I think this is something I would like to share with more, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I feel in today's time also the coaches are the ones who are making a lot of excuses.
Okay.
Because if you finish a match and you tell me, oh, today was not our day, oh, the players, didn't do that well today. It was not their best moment. What does this mean? No. What does this mean to you when the coach say that? What do you think? What would you answer?
What does it mean for the coach?
No. What does this mean for you when you hear this as a
player,
as an observer?
You're looking at it from an external perspective.
Yes.
It's the easy answer, but trying to find what you can do yourself. I think that's also where you want to go.
Yeah.
But of course, players can sometimes, leave you behind and do whatever they want, and then there's something to blame.
Yeah.
And there's also something you can play with.
Yeah.
But in the end, you're the only one that has effect on your own behavior.
Absolutely. And that's the exact point. I believe today as coaches. Okay, let's take an example. You had a game. You lost a game because, let's say, a preventing finishing. I like to call it that way. So didn't work very well. What is your next step? Then now I'm the host. What do you do? The next. What is your plan for the week after?
Well, it completely depends on the context, of course, which is now a little bit out of the blue.
Mm.
But if my, let's say, defensive in the most essential part of the pitch wouldn't work, I would like to see first the situation, how would people react, but also what are my principles or what is my idea around this, and did I mention this to players?
Yep.
If I focus on compactness, and that's my main issue there, which was something that's close to my philosophy, was it something that, in seniors, let's connect it to my last situation in seniors, was I coaching them at the right point? Was I helping them to be compact or not? Or did I just leave them and fail them and whatever?
Yeah.
So that's something I would look at.
Yeah. No, but that's great, because first you analyze yourself, right? First you said, did I do my part?
Or did I maybe even in the pre-game talk focus too much on attacking while I knew these moments could happen as well?
Yeah.
Which is also, again, different in senior than youth, because in youth you kind of maybe want these moments to learn from, but in seniors it's about winning, and you want to prevent this because there's a different type of goal.
Absolutely.
I think that's the context. But that would be my behavior. Yeah.
No, that's great. What I would do is definitely, if it happens first, is analyze the game, and then see what the critical parts were. Right. Then I would, like you said, ask myself, did I do everything that is in my power as a coach to make sure that enable the players to defend the best ways possible? Then I would review myself, right? But then the next thing I would do is, if we have a whole week of training, and like you say, in senior, you can make your own plan. Youth, maybe we have a certain cycle we're in. How can I implement this particular situation that occurred in the training that made us concede goals or whatever, and do some sort of corrective training to make sure that, that the problems were sanitized a little bit in that sense before moving on to another things.
Yeah.
So in this case, I've met a lot of coaches throughout my career who sort of just throw the issues under the rug and don't focus on the corrective aspect of the training.
Yeah.
Because you talk about the development, my development now, my observation of youth development or player development, I think corrective training is one of the key things that does that.
Yeah.
So even this trip.
So you have, I think I read it, corrective training is focusing on your weakness, and you had another word for focusing on your strengths, right? Native, yeah. So this is the basics, this is one pillar and that's the other pillar.
Yes.
That's kind of how I have to see it, right?
And maybe for the first team, then you can add the adaptive one,
which you adapt to the opponent.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this was actually also my dissertation topic as well, because I think at some moment you find a thing that defines you as a coach, and that gives you more clear structure, let's say, towards the way you want to work. I feel the tactical training is not separated enough. It's not delegated enough to be able to cover these three things. I name them like this. You can name them however you want.
Yeah, I understand.
But for me, the key here is the corrective training, because if you don't work on a strong foundation, then the house collapses. So if you just keep putting one mistake after another under the rug, then these mistakes will keep reoccurring.
Yeah.
And then we end up saying it wasn't our player's day. but they die as a coach.
So you accept the fact that it is a weakness.
Yes.
And in your philosophy, you should never accept it.
No.
Are you saying that you want to build it to a certain standard, or are you saying that make your weakness your strength, because that's a step further?
Yes. So definitely bring it up to a certain standard, or help the players refocus, because also some the most common answer to this is, I don't want to focus on the negatives. Players, I want to focus on the positives, which is again not wrong. There is no right and wrong here. I'm just saying that for myself, if I don't address this, if I don't fix this, as a coach, if I don't help, when I say fix, I mean help player understand what they did wrong and guide them towards the solution, what they could have done better, then I feel I didn't do my job as a coach.
I understand. So it is a tendency, just find your own characteristics as a player or as a team and just be the best in the thing that you can be the best. But you're also saying, but coaches forget to work on the weaknesses, because it should be all positive and it should be all flowers.
Yes, exactly. So, and now you remind me of something. I had a webinar recently with the gang as well, and they asked an interesting question. They said, how will footballers look like in 2030? Honestly, I never thought about this question before. But when they asked it, I started thinking, which direction is football going, right? Players are getting physically stronger with more endurance, covering more distance, faster, right? There is no more, but attacking and defending. Everybody is doing everything all the time. So then they asked the question, something like, do you focus more on, if you have two players, if you have a player who is really physically superior, but not that perceptive in a game, or if you have a player who is super perceptive, but not that physically capable, which player would you choose?
Which one did you choose?
No, I said sorry, but there is no right answer to this. But I think there is a clear sort of indicator that football will just become more and more at the edge of maximum performance.
It's getting more and more extreme.
Yes, and it's just, I think it's gonna get crazy, and we'll see some.
5 years ago, I don't know exactly when, but I know I realized at one point they started presenting the statistics during games, and you were pretty impressed when a midfielder ran 11 kilometers, and now it's an average.
Yes.
Now it's 13, and it's going to be 14, 15, and then in a couple of years' time, you run 15. Okay, it's pretty normal on the elite level. That's changing. You're going to have extreme players, huge guys in the back that still move like short Singaporeese guys almost. But this it's going to be more specialist game, I think, and the pace is only going to get higher.
Absolutely. So
interesting.
That's direction that I think everybody should think about whenever they are preparing or whenever they are creating new things for themselves as a coach. I need to know where you're going, where the football is going. This is really makes you think.
No, it's interesting. I did an interview on national radio when I was doing my human movement studies. And they asked me, okay, what's the future of football? And that was the time that Chelsea was dominating Europe. You were all huge guys. Drogba, who was a physical guy. And so this is only going to get worse. But then the era after was Barcelona with their small, tactical, tiki-taka football, which is completely the opposite. So I felt like it was a horrible, how do you say it? Horrible way of looking at the future. But these things evolve and new styles are coming. Now you have everybody's playing. We had an interesting discussion with the Portuguese coach. He said, everybody's playing with 5 now. Because everybody's playing with 5. There's not a reason why people choose 5. It's just that because everybody's doing that. So now you have these wing backs that can go 100 miles an hour for 90 minutes. And this is going to change also the football perspective again. It's interesting. Does it affect your daily, not your day, but does it affect your philosophy as well? Is it in those, let's say, sessions you think, okay, how can I use, actually, like you did with the strikers, you look at these ideas and try to implement it in your own style? Or
I mean here you have to look at the individual quality of players you have, because in reality, out of 20 players, 2-3, if it's a good generation, 2-3 will make it big, and the rest is. So I think although football is a team sport, it's mostly about individual development. So if I take out those 2, 3, 4 players that I feel their characteristics are in a certain way for their position very good, then now I think next time will those characteristics also be appreciated 10 years from now or 5 years from now? Would these characteristics be something that people are looking for in top European teams or not? So, that's a short.
You try to prepare yourself also in your ideas, and of course, it's different to approach it with your U40s in Singapore, but you prepare your mindset, or your ideas about football already for the next steps.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay, we're going. Well, I see you sliding. What's the main thing besides mindset, or do you want to go there back there?
No. I mean,
you are the best prepared podcast guest.
Is it?
You realize
this is even not, this wasn't 4:30 this morning. I was thinking.
Yeah. I like it.
No, just a small thing. No, I mean, I'm happy to share any more you have to know. I saw you posted some any questions on your. Did you get any interesting questions like who the hell is this guy from Singapore or something? Like this?
We didn't get too much questions. I have to be fair.
Yeah.
So it's mainly my ideas. When I like the way we're going. So the main thing is we're sitting down talking about football. Are we going towards, let's say what we just did now, 5-3-2, whatever. But we always end or we start or we talk about the approach of football, not about tactics.
Yeah.
Okay, we did. That's the common connection that I find with everybody.
Yeah.
It's never about solely football. It's always interaction with people, with yourself. Maybe it's a podcast setting that people tend to get personal, but this is what defines you in everything.
Yeah.
And that's very strong with you as well.
Oh,
but it is. You can feel it when you talk to you that there's a determination to succeed, where in what kind of situation you are, which I think is inspiring.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, if you're getting personal, then I'll get personal as well. No, I mean, where I am right now, let's say, is a pretty big project that I'm very interested in. And when you say Singapore football, people probably frown their faces, and I understand them completely.
Which is interesting, just to set the scene, to give an impression on the level. You played with the U14s against FC Utrecht U14s. Like we said, it's not about the result, but it was a competitive game and you won, which says something about the level at that moment. We don't know what FC Utrecht was bringing to the pitch, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it says something about the project and the level. Yeah. Because I have to be fair, my first episode, why Singapore? You don't know. Mm-hmm. You think, okay, maybe there's a club, there's a project, whatever. Because there are a lot of like these projects out there where there's just somebody with money.
Yes.
And the level is poor.
Yeah.
In this case, it's different. I have the feeling.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, because I wouldn't have taken this if I didn't thought that it's a good next step for where I want to go. But I want to talk about an opportunity now.
Yeah.
This is I feel how far you can go is also determined where you come from. Now I can say, you're talking about mindset. No, I think this is about visas and passports and so on. And let's say, and this is something I spoke to coaches here in Netherlands. I said, you guys don't know how lucky you are just to have a Dutch passport.
Yeah.
Because for me to come and work here, it took almost a year to settle everything. And
you mean to Singapore or to the Netherlands?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just to make sure that everything is in order. So that then you already, if tomorrow you and I play a game, you're already leading 3-0 against me before the kickoff.
Yeah.
Because I need to, let's say, make this make myself much more competitive, that somebody will put more money for me to get me here. Then. Yeah. So I realized that very young, that it was the first time when I was, let's say, forced to stop playing and then start coaching. What I quickly realized is there is nothing for me in Serbia. It's a great footballing country, but nothing for a coach of 18 years old. So I started looking overseas and applying all sorts of different visas that continuously got rejected. And then in the end, I ended up in Thailand. That was the only place that would allow me to come in.
Okay, yeah.
And then from there we went to...
Because simply it was, as a citizen of Serbia, it was simply hard to travel, to get a visa because of the war.
Let me give you one short story on that. So I had an offer to go and work in US, and I was so excited, right? And
can imagine.
Yes, and I applied for my appointment in the US embassy, and I went for a holiday. It was like 3 weeks later. I went for a holiday somewhere in the meantime, and then on the way back from my holiday, the next morning was my visa appointment. And as I'm coming back to Serbia, I was in Montenegro or something like that. I get a phone call from a friend. Hey, when is your visa appointment? I said tomorrow. He's like, well, you better reschedule it because it's not going to happen. And then the next thing I know, they burned down the American embassy in Serbia.
Different reality.
Yeah, so it was like, okay. So then they sent me to Croatia to American embassy in Croatia, and it was like when I came to the counter, it was just like a red notice, like no. When I saw the same. So it's these kind of things that
what you're saying is what I'm hearing is that realize that things that are normal for you are not normal for other people.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
And it maybe comes back to the way that the thing that we started.
Yeah.
For some people, without any influence, things are very easy, and for other people, things are not easy.
Yes.
And I have to be fair. Like I told you, it's all flowers and light blue skies when I grew up.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah. Why I said this is not that I'm whining or complaining.
No, you're not judging.
This is
it's reality.
This is reality. But what this makes me feel also is, if I want to have an edge, for example, over the Dutch coaches, let's say if I want to come here, then I need to know a lot more than just being a coach. So I need to know how to. Maybe I need to know about the physical preparation. Maybe I need to know about, let's say, sports science a little bit. Maybe I need to know about how to use the computer better than them. Maybe I need to know some programming, some to import, export data, and so on. So then I started learning all those things. So when we had a small thing just now. You tell me you are.
My intern needed to create a black background on a picture. It's couldn't.
Yeah, you are done.
They're watching now. The two of them, they can't.
Yeah, no, but it's such a small thing,
yeah.
You know. But this is the mindset that I feel is doing more where you need to doing more than you need to do. Prepare yourself more than somebody else, so that when the small window of opportunity shows up, right, that you can do something that somebody else can, and then at that moment people think, oh, okay. This guy is not a bad guy, you know. He's okay, you know. But what happens in the behind, that's what I know.
It's almost like never take anything for granted, and just always be prepared.
Yeah. That's how we started.
That's how we always have the cycle there.
There you go.
Okay, who should we have next? No. In those 4 hours, let's go 2 questions more.
Yes.
Are you a reader? You told me you may be more of a listener or
Yes. I books in general. I read.
Oh, you said sorry.
Yes.
We already went there to studies and sorry.
Yes. But no problem. So I like to read study papers. I said, but there is a couple of books I would like to recommend. Now, Game Changers. It's not a Netflix documentary about veganism. Definitely not. This is a book by Dr. Ferguson Connolly. So. It's a bit of a controversial book, I have to say. Okay. It's a big book, split into 4 sections. So you have the game, the player, the preparation, and the coach.
Okay.
And it's a book that questions a lot of things. So it makes a pretty small number of conclusions. It gives some theoretical foundation, but it just asks a lot of questions.
To your own actions.
Yes. For example, does all the data needs to be measured? And then and does the sports science needs to have this effect or that effect? And it's a good read. That's a good read. I mentioned Eric Thomas already.
Yeah,
he has a couple of books, but I think you want to listen to him more than read the books. Although the books are not bad. And my favorite book is Average Skill, Phenomenal Will.
Average
Skill, Phenomenal Will.
Okay, yeah, okay, I understand.
Which describes me a little bit also, I have to say.
Yeah.
Not so good, even as a player. Not too many skills.
Okay.
And then, that's when it comes to books. You said who should you speak to? Well, I have to say all the people that I would like to recommend here. You already spoke to most of them, so you spoke to Mark Otten, to Rikos, to Peter Strassenberg. You're gonna speak with David Oxpeus also.
Yeah.
I can suggest from Netherlands if you touch base with Mark Underwater.
Yeah, we already talked to him as well.
You did? Oh, fantastic then. Well, how about Alexander Rankovic?
Okay, yeah. Interesting. I heard good stories about him.
Yes, and also the Utrecht U21 coach, Darija Kalezic.
Okay, yeah.
He could be a pretty interesting guy to speak to as well.
Yeah, interesting career as well.
Yes, but I would like to suggest also two guys from the outside.
Yeah,
maybe for a little bit different perspective. So Andrea Pisano, he was a former player of Parma, Bologna, and so on, and I think he's really passionate coach.
He's the guy that beat everybody in the game what he did during the pro course. Yes. So his English is you need some work, but you can understand what he's saying. Yeah, okay.
Too bad you can't display 3 fingers.
You will do that every 5 seconds.
Yes. And then the second guy will be Andro Fistonic, who is head of youth at Hajduk Split.
Okay.
So I think any name you choose from this list will give you some creative content.
Yeah, I will connect with you after to see which we will approach. But Mark did a webinar with us about let's say dealing with Corona. It was actually around a year ago.
Yes.
And I heard, like I said, Rankovic was head coach of ADO club here in the Netherlands.
Yes. Now he's assistant at Sparta.
Yeah, with Fraser.
Yes.
Yeah. So I heard good stories about him. Interesting.
Yep.
Similar, let's say, Eastern Europe background, like yourself.
But he's been here for
he played here his whole life. Yeah.
I was collecting balls for him. We play in the same club. I was a ball boy for him.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's how long we go.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to reach out to these guys. If they hear this, we'll put the pressure on them to say yes.
Yes, perfect.
But we'll find a way. And maybe any last words towards the people that are listening?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all to you, I think what you guys are doing is really good. And this philosophy of inviting coaches by recommendation, this is really a perfect way to go. And I like to say to the listeners that this is none of this has been let's say scripted or directed. This was all just nice conversations.
This is what it is.
Us. Yeah, and it feels really good to have a podcast like this. But also for me personally, a note for everyone, for all the coaches, all people aspiring to be a coach, is create a situation for yourself to take full ownership, to eliminate all of the excuses. Because the moment you start pointing fingers at someone, you're never going to be successful.
Yep.
And also be thankful to all those people that will say no to you, they'll put you down.
Yep.
Because they will force you to become better and find a different way to succeed.
I said every step back is a step up to a next step forward, right?
Absolutely.
Great, man. Great to conclude.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Me too. Very much.
Will not be the last time.
Yeah, I hope so.
Great, man. Enjoy your last... What is it? 5 to 10 days. How long are you staying here in Europe?
1 more week.
One more week?
Yeah, and then 3 weeks in Germany.
Great, man.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
And then it's back to Singapore. Yes. Back on the job. Well, this is your job, but then the bigger job.
Exactly.
Great, man. Thank you very much.